Chapter 1 Al-Fatihah, verse 4.
Sovereign of the Day of Recompense.
Allah, the Exalted, is the sovereign of all things and days, yet the Day of Judgment has specifically been mentioned, as none of the creation will deny His sovereignty on that day, even if there are many who deny it in this world. The one who accepts His sovereignty today, by using the blessings He has granted them in ways pleasing to Him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, will be granted peace and satisfaction by the Sovereign on the Day of Judgment. Whereas, the one who denies it and instead tries to give sovereignty to themselves or others by misusing the blessings they have been granted, will be overpowered in this world and crushed on the Day of Judgment by Allah, the Exalted, the Sovereign of all things. Chapter 20 Taha, verses 124 to 126.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind. He will say, My Lord, why have you raised me blind while I was once seeing? Allah will say, Thus did our signs come to you, and you forgot, i.e. disregarded them, and thus will you this day be forgotten.
As Allah, the Exalted, is the only judge who will hold the creation accountable for their actions, it indicates that there is no possible way of escaping it. As Allah, the Exalted, is Almighty, there is no way of any mistakes occurring whereby one's sins or righteous deeds are not taken into account. As Allah, the Exalted, is the All-Knowing, there is no way of bribing one's way out of trouble. As Allah, the Exalted, is all-just. Therefore, as all ways out of one's accountability are sealed, one should practically prepare for it. This involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The main verse also indicates that any social influence and authority one has been granted by the Sovereign must use it in ways pleasing to Him, otherwise they will be held accountable by Allah, the Exalted, on the day when they lose all their social influence and authority. Just like an ambassador of a king who misused the authority they were granted by the king will be punished by him when they return to him. Similarly, the one who misuses the authority and social influence they have been given will face the consequences of their actions sooner or later. As Allah, the Exalted, has given every person some type of authority, such as authority over their own body and other worldly blessings, no one is free from this accountability. This verse also indicates the main purpose of one's life on this earth, to prepare for their meeting with Allah, the Exalted, and their final accountability. One must therefore prioritize preparing for this inevitable meeting over all other things, especially the things which may not occur, such as one's retirement. Just like a person who fails to prepare adequately for a business meeting will most likely fail in their aim, so will the person who fails to prepare for their meeting with Allah, the Exalted, on Judgment Day. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 111.
And all faces will be humbled before the ever-living, all-sustaining. And those burdened with wrongdoing will be in loss.
It is important to note that one must practically prepare for their accountability by fulfilling the rights of Allah, the Exalted, and the rights of people. The latter is vital to remember, as some often neglect the importance of treating others according to the teachings of Islam, and still believe they will succeed on Judgment Day. An oppressor will not be forgiven by Allah, the Exalted, until their victim forgives them first. If they do not, which is the most likely outcome, as people are not so merciful, then the oppressor will be forced to give their good deeds to their victim, and if necessary, the oppressor will take their victim's sins until justice is established. This may well cause the oppressor to be hurled into hell on Judgment Day, even if they fulfilled the rights of Allah, the Exalted. This has been warned in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6579. The main verse also reminds one to hold themselves accountable in this world, in respect to their actions and speech, as they will be held accountable on the Day of Judgment. The one who holds themselves accountable in this world, through self-reflection and sincere efforts to improve their behavior towards Allah, the Exalted, and the creation, by learning and acting on Islamic knowledge, will find peace in this world and an easy reckoning on the Day of Judgment, as their self-reflection encourage them to practically prepare for the Day of Judgment, which involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 16 And now, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
Whereas, the one who fails to judge their actions through self-reflection will not correct their actions and speech, and will therefore go further astray with the passing of time. This will cause one to misuse the blessings they have been granted, which leads to a difficult life in this world, and a severe and difficult reckoning in the next. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind.
Chapter 1 Al-Fatihah, verse 4.
Sovereign of the day of recompense.
This verse also indicates that peace within any society in this world is not possible to achieve without the belief and fear of one's accountability on the Day of Judgment. Even if the law of a society is strict enough to deter some from committing crimes, the truth is that there will always be people who will still commit crimes when they believe they can somehow escape being held accountable by the law, such as through bribes or evading the police. The other aspect which ensures a peaceful society is one's belief and fear of their accountability on the Day of Judgment, something which is inescapable. The one who can evade worldly authorities will be deterred from crimes and wronging others through this fear, as they know they can never escape the power and authority of Allah, the Exalted, the King and Owner of the Day of Judgment. Accepting Allah, the Exalted, as the only sovereign is an indirect acceptance of one's servanthood to Him. The essence of servanthood is to sincerely obey one's master during every situation, by using the blessings he has granted them in ways pleasing to him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Choosing a way of life which opposes this way negates one's claim of servanthood to Allah, the Exalted. A true servant only does what their master commands. A servant will also accept the choices and decrees of the wise and just master in respect to themselves and their loved ones, knowing he alone chooses what is best for everyone involved, even if this is not obvious. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
In addition, as sovereignty belongs to Allah, the Exalted, alone, one must remember that they will never gain success if they obey anyone else, as the creation cannot protect them from the Sovereign. Chapter 14 Ibrahim, verse 42.
And never think that Allah is unaware of what the wrongdoers do. He only delays them for a day when eyes will stare in horror.
Whereas, the one who sincerely obeys Allah, the Exalted, the Sovereign, will be protected from the negative effects of the creation, even if this is not obvious to them. Chapter 65 at Talaq, verse 2.
And whoever fears Allah, He will make for him a way out.
Chapter 1 Al-Fatihah, verse 4.
Sovereign of the day of recompense.
This verse also eliminates the foolish attitude of assuming one will somehow make peace with Allah, the Exalted, on the Day of Judgment, after they lived a life of disobeying Him. The Day of Judgment is the day of recompense. It is not the day of making peace or the day of second chances. This world is the place of actions, whereas the hereafter is the place of recompense. One should not be fooled into thinking they can practically live by a code of conduct based on their own desires, social media, fashion and culture, and still assume they will gain success on Judgment Day. This is nothing except wishful thinking, which has no value in Islam. Hope in Allah, the Exalted, is always tied to His obedience. Meaning, the one who sincerely tries to obey Him, by using the blessings He has granted them in ways pleasing to Him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is the one who can truly hope Allah, the Exalted, will forgive their mistakes and reward them with paradise. The following verse clearly indicates that one must bring Islam to the day of recompense, not just internal faith. Islam is a practical code of conduct which influences how one uses every blessing they have been granted. It is not just an internal belief. This has been explained in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 99. Thinking otherwise only leads to wishful thinking and a great loss in both worlds. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 85.
Whoever seeks a way other than Islam, it will never be accepted from them, and in the hereafter they will be among the losers.
The main verse also indicates the importance of certainty of faith. The verse does not declare that Allah, the Exalted, will be the sovereign of the day of recompense. It instead declares He already is the sovereign of the day of recompense, even though the day of judgment has not yet occurred. This indicates that the day of judgment is so certain to occur, it is as if it already has occurred. A Muslim must adopt this certainty in respect to the day of judgment, so that they practically prepare for it, which involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. The one who possesses weak faith will verbally declare their belief in the day of judgment, but they will not show it through their actions. Certainty of faith is obtained when one learns an acts on the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, so that the reality of this world, their purpose and the other truths mentioned therein become crystal clear to them. This clarity will lead to certainty of faith, and this will ensure one practically lives in a way which ensures they achieve peace and success in both worlds. Chapter 16 and now, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
In the main verse, Allah, the Exalted, only mentioned His complete and exclusive sovereignty on the Day of Judgment, even though His sovereignty is over this material world also. This indicates that one must prioritize preparing for the Day of Judgment over accumulating, hoarding, and enjoying worldly things. The mission of a Muslim in this world is to prepare practically for their meeting with Allah, the Exalted. This involves using the blessings He has granted them in ways pleasing to Him. The one who behaves in this manner will be granted peace in both worlds, as they fulfilled their purpose in this world. But the one who fails to fulfill this purpose will adopt a pointless and meaningless life devoid of any real peace of mind or body, even if they have moments of fun and entertainment, as their worldly things will become a source of stress and anxiety for them. Chapter 9 at Tawbah, verse 82.
So let them laugh a little, and then weep much as recompense for what they used to earn.
Chapter 1 Al-Fatihah, verse 4.
Sovereign of the day of recompense.
This verse also prevents one from adopting the foolish belief that as they have not recognized the consequences of their actions in this world, it means they will not face them at all. Everyone will face the consequences of their actions in both worlds. In this world, the consequences are often subtle, and therefore the heedless fail to connect the difficulties they face, such as anxiety, stress, and depression, to their disobedient actions. Whereas, on the Day of Judgment, the consequences of one's actions will be made crystal clear. Therefore, one must treat everything which occurs in their life as a message from Allah, the Exalted, and as a consequence of their actions, and if necessary, they should repent and amend their behavior. One must make use of these second chances before they reach the Day of Judgment, where the Sovereign will not give them any more second chances, and they will face the full consequences of their actions. The main verse also indicates that as the day of recompense is certain to occur, one should practically prepare for it by adopting a simple lifestyle. This involves striving in this world according to one's means and responsibilities, and avoiding wasteful, extravagant, and vain things as much as possible. One must bear in mind that the longer their accountability, the more stress and difficulty they will face, even if they are not sent to hell. This has been indicated in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 103. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned that whoever has their deeds scrutinized by Allah, the Exalted, on Judgment Day will be punished. Leading a simple life prevents one from unnecessary preoccupations, thereby obtaining peace of mind and body, and an easy reckoning on the Day of Judgment. This is why the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has advised in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 4118, that simplicity is a part of faith. 5 divine attributes are mentioned in the opening verses of this chapter. Chapter 1 Al-Fatihah, verses 2 to 4.
Allah, Lord of the worlds, the most compassionate, most merciful, sovereign of the day of recompense.
Allah, the Exalted, is Lord of the worlds because He created, sustains and nourishes the entire creation. He is compassionate and merciful as He makes things easy for the creation, forgives them their mistakes, accepts their sincere repentance and guides them to what is best for them in both worlds. He is the sovereign of the day of recompense, as he will judge the actions of mankind in a just, fair, and merciful manner. When one understands these 5 divine attributes, it becomes clear that none has the right to be worshipped and obeyed except Allah, the Exalted. This testification is actualized by using the blessings one has been granted by Allah, the Exalted, in ways pleasing to Him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Finally, the day of recompense is something which must occur, even according to logic. If one observes the heavens and the earth, they will clearly identify many examples of a balanced system. For example, the sun is at a balanced and perfect distance from the earth. If the sun was at a different distance from the earth would be inhabitable. The water cycle is another example of a perfectly balanced system. It involves the evaporation of water from the seas and oceans into the atmosphere, which is then condensed to produce rain. This system is vital for life on Earth. The Earth itself was created in a perfectly balanced way. On one hand, it allows the weak seed to grow and penetrate its surface in order to provide provision for the creation. On the other hand, the Earth is so dense that tall buildings can be constructed on it, which is vital for progression. If one observes the ocean, they will clearly identify a perfectly balanced system. The balanced density of the water allows for huge ships to sail on its surface, which is needed for trading and traveling, while allowing sea life to thrive within it. But there is one major unbalanced thing in this world: the actions of people. A person often observes how oppressors escape punishment in this world. On the other hand, there are countless people who face persecution and other difficulties with patience, yet do not receive the full reward they deserve. Many Muslims who sincerely obey Allah, the Exalted, by using the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, often face trials and tests in this world, and only receive a small share of their reward, whereas those who openly disobey Allah, the Exalted, enjoy the luxuries of this world, and in some cases face less difficulties. Allah, the Exalted, would not set up many perfectly balanced systems in the universe, yet neglect the imbalance found within the actions of people. Balancing the actions of people obviously does not occur in this world, so therefore it must occur in another time, the day of recompense. Allah, the Exalted, could fully reward and punish in this world. But one of the wisdoms behind not doing so is indicated by the previous verse. Meaning, instead of immediately punishing someone completely according to their actions, Allah, the Exalted, gives many opportunities so that they sincerely repent and correct their conduct. Chapter 1 Al-Fatihah, verse 3.
The most compassionate, most merciful.
And chapter 35 Fatihah, verse 45.
And if Allah were to impose blame on the people for what they have earned, He would not leave upon it, i.e. the earth, any creature. But He defers them for a specified term. And when their time comes, then indeed Allah has ever been of His servants seeing.
He does not fully reward those who do good in this world, as this world is not paradise. In addition, believing in the unseen, the complete reward waiting for a Muslim in the hereafter, is an important aspect of Islam. In fact, belief in the unseen is what makes faith special. Believing in something which is not hidden and can be perceived through the 5 senses, such as receiving full reward in this material world, would not be so special. In order for the day of judgment to begin, this material world must reach its end. This is because punishment and reward can only be given once the actions of all people are completed. Therefore, the day of recompense must occur, according to the signs within the universe, and will only take place when this world ends.